It all started innocuously enough, during one of those dreary, rainy Thursday afternoons when the office feels more like a morgue than a workplace. I had just come back from a lunch break that consisted of a soggy sandwich and a questionable yogurt when I saw it. A new email in my inbox. The sender? Eric, a colleague I had barely exchanged 2 words with before. The subject line read, Project Update, but as I clicked it open, I felt a strange flutter of excitement. His words were professional, sure, but there was something else there too. A subtle, almost imperceptible undertone that caught my attention. Maybe it was the way he phrased things, or the slightly playful banter he sneaked in between the lines. Whatever it was enough to spark something in me. Over the next few weeks, our email exchanges became more frequent, each message a little more personal, a little more engaging. It was thrilling and terrifying all at once. Then came the fateful Friday. Eric suggested we discuss the project over coffee. I knew it was a bad idea, dangerous, even, but the thrill of something forbidden was too enticing to pass up. We met at a small cafe near the office, the kind with dim lighting and cozy corners perfect for whispered conversations. The boundaries of our professional relationship blurred as we talked about everything and nothing. I found myself laughing at his jokes, enjoying his company far more than I should. His charm was undeniable, and I was helplessly drawn to him. Our meetings became more frequent, and with each one, the tension between us grew. One evening, as we were working late in the office, he brushed his hand against mine while passing me a document. It was such a simple gesture, but the touch lingered, sending a jolt of electricity through my body. I looked up to see a knowing smile on his face, and I knew we had crossed a line. The first kiss happened after another late-night work session. We were alone in the office, the dim lights casting shadows that mirrored our growing desire. Our conversation became more personal, more intimate. Suddenly, he leaned in and kissed me. It was slow and deliberate, filled with unspoken promises and a hint of desperation. I knew it was wrong, but the sensation was intoxicating, and I couldn't pull away. That kiss was the point of no return. Things escalated quickly from there. Eric proposed a weekend getaway under the guise of a work retreat. We traveled to a secluded cabin, far from prying eyes. The weekend was a blur of passion and guilt, each moment more intense than the last. We spent our days exploring the woods and our nights lost in each other. Despite the constant fear of discovery, the allure of the forbidden made every touch, every kiss, feel even more exhilarating. Returning to reality after the weekend was harder than I expected. The guilt of betraying my husband weighed heavily on me, but I couldn't stop thinking about Eric. During a quiet moment at home, my husband noticed my distraction and asked what was wrong. I lied, saying it was just work stress, but the guilt gnawed at me. I knew I was playing a dangerous game, and the stakes were getting higher. Then, Eric left a small, yet significant, gift on my desk, a delicate silver bracelet with a note that simply read, "For you." My heart raced as I read the note. The gesture was sweet and thoughtful, a secret symbol of our connection. Wearing the bracelet felt like carrying a constant reminder of the forbidden relationship that was consuming my thoughts. It was clear that what had started as a harmless flirtation had evolved into something much more serious and complicated. As I sat at my desk, the rain tapping against the window, I couldn't help but wonder how far I was willing to go. The thrill, the danger, the guilt, they were all part of this twisted dance we were caught in. And even though I knew it was bound to end in disaster, I couldn't bring myself to stop. Our secret meetings became more frequent and, to be honest, more reckless. Eric and I were like teenagers sneaking out after curfew, finding secluded spots in the city to steal a few precious moments together. Alleyways, quiet corners of parks, even a random empty office, it was all fair game. The thrill of getting caught only seemed to intensify our connection. Each encounter was a heady mix of passion and paranoia. It was like playing with fire, and we were both hopeless pyromaniacs. Then, of course, fate decided to have a good laugh at our expense. One afternoon, while at a cafe with Eric, we ran into one of my husband's old friends. Just my luck. My heart pounded as we scrambled to come up with a story about a work meeting. The friend, let's call him Bob the busybody, seemed suspicious but didn't press further. Still, the close call made me realize how precarious our situation was. Instead of pulling back, though, it only made our time together feel more urgent and necessary. Yeah, I'm great at making life choices. Back at home, the strain of my double life started to show. My husband, bless his heart, was no fool. He noticed my frequent absences and late nights. We had our first major argument about my commitments and his growing suspicions. I managed to deflect his concerns with excuses about work, but the guilt was overwhelming. The affair was affecting every aspect of my life, and I wondered how long I could keep up the facade before everything came crashing down. Feeling overwhelmed, I confided in my best friend, Lisa. Her reaction? Shock, followed by a reluctant promise to keep my secret. Lisa's support was a relief, but she also warned me about the potential fallout. Her words of caution echoed in my mind, but my feelings for Eric were too strong to ignore. Now, I had to navigate my emotions and my loyalty to my friend, adding another layer of complexity to this already tangled mess. Things took a darker turn one evening while I was out with Eric. My husband found a series of text messages on my phone. They were innocent enough on the surface, but he sensed something was off. When I returned home, he confronted me. My heart raced as I came up with a plausible explanation, but his trust was clearly shaken. The tension in our marriage was palpable, and I knew it was only a matter of time before the truth came out. Eric and I realized we needed to be more careful. We devised a plan to communicate through a secret email account and meet in less obvious places. The secrecy added another layer of excitement to our relationship, but it also increased the risk. Each encounter was meticulously planned, and any slip-up could lead to disaster. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure was mounting. Just another day in paradise, right? To escape the constant tension, Eric suggested another weekend away. This time, we went to a coastal town, far from anyone we knew. The getaway was a chance to breathe and enjoy each other's company without the usual stress. We spent our days walking on the beach and our nights wrapped in each other's arms. It was a brief reprieve from reality, a sweet escape. But we both knew it couldn't last forever. The weekend ended, as all good things do, and we returned to our complicated lives. The guilt, the lies, the constant fear of discovery, it was all still there, lurking in the background. But so was the thrill, the passion, and the undeniable connection we shared. I was caught in a web of my own making, and there was no easy way out. Returning from the coastal town, I felt like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. The guilt of living a double life was almost unbearable, but the thought of giving up Eric was equally painful. It was like being caught between a rock and a hard place, or more accurately, between my husband and my lover. The affair had become an addiction, a cycle of desire and remorse that I couldn't break free from. As the days passed, my husband's suspicions grew. He started asking more questions about my whereabouts, checking up on me in ways that felt suffocating. I was constantly on edge, the fear of getting caught always lurking in the back of my mind. But instead of making me pull back, it only made my time with Eric feel more urgent and necessary. Yep, I was making great life choices. Feeling overwhelmed, I finally confided in Eric about my husband's growing suspicions. He listened patiently, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to my internal chaos. Eric reassured me that we would find a way to continue our relationship without getting caught. His confidence was comforting, but it also made me realize how deeply entangled we had become. This wasn't just a secret fling anymore, it was a full-blown relationship, complete with all its messy complexities and challenges. Eric suggested we take a break from the city to clear our heads and come up with a plan. A spontaneous road trip, exploring small towns and staying in quaint bed and breakfasts, sounded like the perfect escape. The trip was a mix of adventure and anxiety. We tried to enjoy our time together, but the constant need to look over our shoulders was a stark reminder of our reality. The escape plan provided temporary relief, but the looming threat of discovery never truly went away. Upon returning from the road trip, I walked into our home to find my husband waiting for me with a stern expression. He had found more evidence of my affair and demanded an explanation. The confrontation was heated and emotional, with accusations and tears flying back and forth. I managed to deflect some of his accusations, but the damage was done. Our marriage was hanging by a thread, and I knew it was only a matter of time before the truth came out. Feeling the pressure from all sides, I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't continue living this double life, but the thought of losing Eric was unbearable. After much soul-searching, I decided to end the affair. The decision was painful, a knife twisting in my heart, but I hoped it would save my marriage and restore some semblance of normalcy to my life. I met with Eric one last time to say goodbye. The finality of it all left me feeling empty and heartbroken. Ending the affair was one of the hardest things I had ever done. The days that followed were filled with a deep sense of loss and regret. I threw myself into repairing my marriage, but the shadow of the affair loomed large over us. My husband and I attended couples therapy, trying to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. It was a slow and painful process, each session a reminder of the mistakes I had made. But I was determined to make it work, to find a way back to the life I had nearly destroyed. As I sat in those therapy sessions, I couldn't help but wonder how things had gotten so out of hand. The affair had started innocently enough, but it had spiraled into something that had nearly consumed me. The road to recovery was long and uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to rebuild what had been broken. Despite my best efforts to move on, the affair with Eric was never far from my mind. It haunted me like a ghost, lingering in the shadows of my thoughts. One evening, in a moment of weakness, I accidentally mentioned Eric's name while talking to my husband. The look on his face was immediate and furious, like I had just detonated a bomb in our living room. Oops. The slip-up reignited his suspicions and set us back in our efforts to rebuild our marriage. Great job, me. A few days later, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, my husband received an anonymous letter detailing my affair with Eric. The letter was explicit and left no room for doubt. It was like someone had compiled a greatest hits album of my worst decisions. My husband confronted me once again, this time with undeniable evidence. The situation escalated quickly, with accusations flying and emotions running high. The betrayal in his eyes was devastating, and I knew our marriage was in serious jeopardy. So much for damage control. The fallout from the anonymous letter was swift and brutal. My husband moved out of our home, unable to bear the sight of me. Friends and family took sides, and I found myself increasingly isolated. It was like living in a soap opera, except this was my life, and it was falling apart. The shame and guilt were overwhelming, and I struggled to find a way forward. The affair had destroyed everything I held dear, and I was left to pick up the pieces. Fun times, right? In the midst of the chaos, I confronted Eric, demanding to know if he had sent the letter. He denied it vehemently, but the seeds of doubt were planted. Our once passionate relationship had turned toxic, and the trust between us was shattered. The confrontation ended with harsh words and tears, marking the true end of our affair. It was a bitter and painful goodbye, and I was left feeling more alone than ever. As my husband and I navigated the aftermath of the affair, it became clear that a divorce was inevitable. The legal battle was bitter and drawn out, with both sides fighting for what they believed was fair. Each court appearance felt like a public shaming, a reminder of the mess I had made of my life. The affair had not only destroyed my marriage but also left me financially and emotionally depleted. Who knew infidelity came with such a hefty price tag? With the divorce finalized, I was left to rebuild my life from scratch. I moved to a new city, hoping for a fresh start. The process was slow and painful, like trying to run a marathon with a broken leg. I threw myself into work and therapy, trying to heal the wounds of the past. The affair had left a permanent scar, but I was determined to learn from my mistakes and move on. One step at a time, I told myself. Just keep going. Years later, I found myself in a new relationship. It was different from anything I had experienced before, built on honesty and trust. Imagine that. An actual healthy relationship. The lessons I had learned from my affair and its aftermath were always in the back of my mind, guiding my actions. The road to recovery had been long and difficult, but I had finally found a sense of peace and stability. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. One day, while out shopping for yet another unnecessary pair of shoes, I unexpectedly ran into Eric. It had been years since we last saw each other, and the encounter was both awkward and emotional. There he was, standing in the cereal aisle like some ghost from my past, clutching a box of Frosted Flakes. We exchanged pleasantries, the usual, "How have you been?" and "You look great," but the weight of our past hung heavily in the air. It was like trying to have a casual chat with someone while an elephant in the room stomped on your toes. Seeing Eric stirred up old memories and unresolved feelings, leaving me questioning the choices I had made. I mean, who knew a simple trip to the grocery store could turn into a therapy session? As I left the store, I couldn't shake the feeling that our story wasn't quite over. A few days later, Eric reached out to me. He confessed that he had been the one to send the anonymous letter to my husband. His reasons were complex, driven by a mix of jealousy and desperation. Apparently, sabotage was his love language. The revelation was a shock, reopening old wounds I had thought were healed. I felt a mix of anger and sadness, realizing that the man I had once loved had been responsible for so much of my pain. So much for nostalgia. Determined to find closure, I met with Eric one last time. We chose a quiet cafe where no one knew us, a place that could be neutral ground for our final showdown. The conversation was intense, filled with accusations and regret. We both acknowledged the mistakes we had made and the damage we had caused. The confrontation was cathartic, allowing me to finally let go of the anger and hurt that had lingered for so long. It was the end of a chapter that had haunted me for years. Goodbye, drama. After my final meeting with Eric, I gained a new understanding of myself and my actions. The affair had been a turning point in my life, forcing me to confront my own flaws and insecurities. Through therapy and introspection, I began to see the affair not just as a mistake, but as a catalyst for personal growth. The experience had shaped me in ways I hadn't fully appreciated before. Who knew self-destruction could be so educational? As I focused on rebuilding my life, my career took a surprising turn. I was offered a promotion that required a move to another city. The new position was challenging and exciting, offering me a fresh start professionally. The move provided a sense of purpose and direction, helping me to leave the past behind and focus on my future. Finally, something to look forward to besides awkward run-ins with ex-lovers. In my new city, I met someone who seemed to understand me in ways no one else had. Our relationship was built on mutual respect and honesty, a stark contrast to the secrecy and deceit of my past. We took things slow, building a strong foundation based on trust. The new relationship was a source of happiness and stability, helping me to heal from the scars of the affair. Imagine that. A relationship that didn't feel like walking on a tightrope. With time, I began to reconnect with my family. The affair and its fallout had strained those relationships, but I was determined to make amends. Through honest conversations and heartfelt apologies, I slowly rebuilt the trust that had been broken. The process was difficult, but it was also deeply rewarding. My family became a source of support and strength, helping me to navigate the challenges of my new life. Turns out, there's no place like home, especially when home is willing to forgive you for being a complete mess. As I sat in my new apartment, sipping a glass of wine and watching the city lights twinkle outside, I realized how far I'd come. The affair had been a whirlwind of passion, mistakes, and lessons learned the hard way. But in the end, it had led me to a place of peace and stability. And for that, I was grateful. Regular therapy sessions became a crucial part of my healing process. Sitting in a cozy, dimly lit room with a therapist who had the uncanny ability to see through my bullshit was daunting at first. She helped me to understand the underlying issues that had led to the affair and guided me in developing healthier coping mechanisms. Every session felt like emotional surgery, cutting deep into my psyche, but the insights and tools for personal growth were invaluable. The affair, it turned out, was just the symptom of deeper issues that needed addressing. Who knew I had so many layers of emotional baggage? Joining a support group for people who had experienced infidelity, either as the betrayed or the betrayer, was another game changer. Sharing my story and hearing others' experiences provided a sense of community and understanding. It was like a twisted version of AA, but for adulterers. The support group became a safe space to express my feelings and gain new perspectives. It was comforting to know that I wasn't alone in my struggles and that others had found ways to move forward. Misery, after all, loves company. Volunteering became a way for me to give back and find a sense of purpose. I started working with a local charity that supported families in crisis. The volunteer work was fulfilling and provided a sense of accomplishment. Helping others allowed me to shift my focus away from my own problems and see the positive impact I could have on the world. Plus, there was something oddly satisfying about putting my mess of a life to good use. Years after our divorce, my ex-husband and I managed to rebuild a cordial relationship. It was like walking on eggshells at first, but we met occasionally to discuss matters related to our shared assets and mutual friends. Over time, we began to talk more openly about our past and the mistakes we had both made. The reconciliation was a slow process, but it provided closure and a sense of peace. We were able to forgive each other and move forward without lingering bitterness. It was almost like a miracle, but less dramatic and without the heavenly choirs. In my quest for balance and sanity, I discovered a passion for painting. It became a therapeutic outlet for my emotions, a way to express feelings that I struggled to articulate in words. Painting was a source of joy and relaxation, helping me to find balance in my life. It was a reminder that even in the aftermath of pain, there could be beauty and growth. Plus, it was a hell of a lot cheaper than therapy. Feeling the itch to break free from my routine, I embarked on a solo travel adventure, visiting places I had always dreamed of seeing. The journey was both physically and emotionally liberating. Exploring new cultures and landscapes helped me to gain perspective and appreciate the richness of life. Each destination was a testament to my resilience and capacity for renewal. Solo travel had its lonely moments, but it also provided a clarity that was worth every awkward solo dinner. Inspired by my experiences, I began writing a memoir. The process of documenting my journey was cathartic and empowering. I poured my heart into the pages, hoping that my story might resonate with others who had faced similar challenges. The memoir was eventually published, receiving positive reviews and providing a sense of accomplishment. Sharing my story with the world was a way to transform my pain into something meaningful. It was like taking all my mistakes and turning them into a roadmap for others to hopefully avoid the same pitfalls. As I reflected on my journey, I realized that healing wasn't a destination but a continuous process. The affair had been a catastrophic detour, but it also led me to a place of self-discovery and growth that I might never have reached otherwise. Life, with all its messiness and complexity, had a way of teaching lessons in the most unexpected ways. And for that, despite everything, I was grateful. Following the unexpected success of my memoir, I was invited to speak at various events and workshops. Me, speaking in front of crowds about my train wreck of a life, who would have thought? Standing on those stages was daunting, every pair of eyes a reminder of my past. Yet, it was also empowering. Sharing my story allowed me to connect with others who had experienced infidelity, offering them a glimmer of hope and guidance. Each event reinforced my belief in the power of resilience and personal growth. Turns out, my disaster of a life had some educational value after all. Inspired by these interactions, I began mentoring others who were struggling with the aftermath of infidelity. The mentorship program was my way of giving back, using my experiences to help others heal. Guiding people through their own journeys of recovery was fulfilling. Watching their progress felt like witnessing small miracles. The relationships I formed through mentorship were deeply rewarding, reminding me of the importance of compassion and support. It was like being a lighthouse in the storm, dramatic, but kind of accurate. Then came the family reunion, an opportunity to reconnect with relatives I hadn't seen in years. It was an event filled with laughter, stories, and a sense of belonging. Reconnecting with my extended family helped to heal old wounds and strengthen bonds that had been weakened by the affair. There was something profoundly comforting about being surrounded by people who had known me since I was a snot-nosed kid. It was a reminder of the importance of family and the support they can provide in times of need. Also, free food. In my new relationship, we reached a significant milestone, moving in together. The decision was made with careful consideration and mutual agreement. Living together brought new challenges, like figuring out who would clean the bathroom, but it also deepened our bond and commitment to each other. The experience was a testament to the strength of our relationship and our ability to navigate life's ups and downs together. Sharing a space, a life, it felt right. Inspired by my journey of healing, I decided to pursue a new career path as a therapist specializing in relationships and infidelity. The transition required additional education and training, but it felt like a natural progression. Helping others navigate their own struggles became a fulfilling vocation. My personal experiences provided unique insights and empathy, making me an effective and compassionate therapist. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade, or maybe a full-blown lemon orchard. As a therapist, I found professional success and satisfaction. My practice grew, and I was able to help numerous clients rebuild their lives and relationships. The work was challenging but deeply rewarding. Each success story was a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the possibility of redemption and growth. Who knew that digging through the muck of my past would pave the way for a flourishing career? My work as a therapist and author received recognition within the professional community. I was invited to contribute to academic journals and participate in conferences. The recognition was gratifying and validated the hard work and dedication I had invested in my new career. It was a reminder that even the darkest times could lead to new opportunities and achievements. Not bad for someone whose life had once been a cautionary tale. One quiet evening, I found myself sitting by the window, watching the sunset. The moment was peaceful and filled with a sense of contentment. I reflected on the tumultuous journey I had been through and the growth that had come from it. The affair had been a catalyst for change, leading me to a deeper understanding of myself and my relationships. The peaceful moment was a testament to the healing power of time and the possibility of finding happiness after hardship. As the sky turned shades of pink and orange, I realized that life, despite its twists and turns, had a way of working out. I had found peace, love, and a renewed sense of purpose. It wasn't the path I had imagined, but it was mine. And for the first time in a long while, that was more than enough. One evening, I sat down to write in my journal, reflecting on the journey I had been through. The pages were filled with raw emotions and candid thoughts, capturing the highs and lows of my experience. Writing allowed me to process the past and appreciate the growth I had achieved. The journal became a cherished record of my resilience and transformation. It's funny how a few scribbled words can hold so much power, serving as a testament to how far I'd come from the mess I once was. While cleaning out a drawer, I stumbled upon an old photo of Eric and me. The image brought back a flood of memories, both good and bad. There we were, smiling and carefree, completely oblivious to the chaos we would eventually create. I took a moment to acknowledge the role Eric had played in my life and the lessons I had learned from our affair. The photo was a reminder of a chapter that had ended, but it also symbolized the growth that had come from it. In a way, it was like finding an old wound that had healed, but still left a scar. Over coffee with Lisa, my confidante from the early days of the affair, we talked about how far I had come. Lisa had been a constant support, and our friendship had only grown stronger. We laughed and shared stories, appreciating the journey we had both been on. The conversation was a reminder of the importance of friendship and the strength it provides in times of need. It was like a mini therapy session, but with better snacks and fewer tears. Feeling a need for closure, I wrote a letter to my ex-husband. The letter was heartfelt and honest, expressing my regret and gratitude for the times we had shared. I apologized for the pain I had caused and thanked him for the good memories. Sending the letter provided a sense of closure and peace, allowing me to fully let go of the past. It was a therapeutic exercise, putting to rest the ghosts of our shared history. To celebrate a significant milestone in my new relationship, we planned a special trip. The destination was a place we both had always wanted to visit. The trip was filled with joy and adventure, marking a new chapter in our lives. The celebration was a testament to the strength of our bond and the happiness we had found together. We laughed, explored, and created memories that were ours alone, free from the shadows of past mistakes. In my new city, I had formed deep and meaningful friendships. These new connections provided a sense of community and belonging. The friendships were built on trust and shared experiences, offering support and companionship. The new friendships enriched my life and reminded me of the importance of human connection. It's amazing how the right people can make a new place feel like home. I organized a charity event to support the organization I had been volunteering with. The event was a success, raising significant funds and awareness. It was a fulfilling experience that combined my passion for helping others with my organizational skills. The event was a reminder of the positive impact one person can have and the importance of giving back to the community. It felt good to know that my life, once so tangled and destructive, could now contribute to something positive and meaningful. A family milestone, such as a wedding or a new baby, brought the extended family together. The celebration was filled with joy and love, reinforcing the bonds that had been strengthened over the years. Seeing everyone gathered, laughing and celebrating, was a poignant reminder of the enduring power of family and the importance of cherishing these moments. It was like the final piece of a puzzle clicking into place, solidifying the sense of peace and contentment that had slowly but surely built up in my life. As I reflected on these experiences, I realized how each event had contributed to my journey of healing and growth. The affair, with all its chaos and pain, had ultimately led me to a place of understanding and resilience. It was a tumultuous ride, but I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more appreciative of the simple joys of life. And for the first time in a long while, I felt truly at peace with myself and my choices. Inspired by my journey, I started a legacy project aimed at helping others navigate the challenges of infidelity and relationship struggles. I wanted to take my mess and turn it into a message. Cheesy, I know, but it felt right. The project included a series of workshops, online resources, and support groups. I poured my heart into it, creating a platform where people could find guidance and hope. The Legacy Project became a labor of love, providing me with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. It was like turning my personal dumpster fire into a beacon of light for others. One day, I was invited to participate in a major interview, sharing my story with a broader audience. The thought of being grilled on national TV was nerve-wracking, but it was also an opportunity to reach people who might be struggling with similar issues. The experience was both terrifying and rewarding. As the cameras rolled, I recounted my journey, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. It reinforced the impact of sharing my journey and reminded me why I had started this whole project in the first place. Besides, if my life could be a cautionary tale for others, why not? The universe decided to throw another curveball, a school reunion. It was like a blast from the past, bringing me face to face with people I hadn't seen in decades. The event was filled with nostalgia and reflections on how much we had all changed. Seeing old friends and acquaintances provided a sense of perspective and appreciation for the journey I had been on. The reunion was a reminder of how far I had come and the importance of staying connected to one's roots. Plus, it was kind of fun to see who had aged like fine wine and who, well, hadn't. One of the individuals I had been mentoring achieved a significant personal milestone. Their success was a source of pride and joy for me. The mentorship relationship had been mutually enriching, and witnessing their growth was deeply satisfying. Their success story was a testament to the power of support and guidance. It felt like watching a plant I had nurtured finally bloom. There was no better feeling. Inspired by all the positive changes, I embarked on a health and wellness journey. I focused on improving my physical and mental well-being with regular exercise, healthy eating, and mindfulness practices. The commitment to my health was a reflection of my overall dedication to self-improvement and personal growth. This health journey brought renewed energy and vitality to my life. Who knew that swapping out donuts for green smoothies could make such a difference? My contributions to the field of relationship therapy and my work with the Legacy Project received public recognition. An award ceremony honored my efforts, and the recognition was both humbling and gratifying. Standing on that stage, I felt a mixture of pride and disbelief. The public recognition validated the hard work and dedication I had invested in helping others and reinforced my commitment to making a positive impact. Not bad for someone who once couldn't even sort out their own life. As I reflected on my journey, I realized the importance of leaving a positive legacy for future generations. I began working on a family history project, documenting the stories and experiences of my relatives. The project was a way to honor my family's heritage and ensure that our history was preserved. It was a meaningful endeavor that connected me to my roots and reinforced the importance of family. Delving into old photos and letters, I felt a deep sense of connection to my ancestors and a renewed appreciation for the legacy I was building. In the quiet moments, I often thought back to where it all started, the affair, the heartbreak, the chaos. It had been a wild ride, but it had also led me to a place of understanding and growth. I had turned my life around, found purpose in helping others, and built a legacy that would hopefully inspire and support future generations. And for the first time, I felt truly at peace with the person I had become. My final therapy session was a moment of reflection and closure. Sitting in that familiar chair, facing my therapist, I couldn't help but marvel at how far I had come. We reviewed the progress I had made and the lessons I had learned, lessons about self-worth, resilience, and the importance of facing one's demons head-on. The session felt like a celebration of my growth and resilience. It marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new one, filled with hope and possibilities. Who knew therapy could be so therapeutic? Taking a long walk through my favorite park, I reflected on my journey. The park was a sanctuary, with its winding paths and rustling leaves. The walk was peaceful and meditative, allowing me to appreciate the beauty of the present moment. It was a reminder of the importance of mindfulness and the value of taking time to reflect on life's experiences. Each step felt like a nod to my past and a step towards my future. Plus, it was nice not to be running from my problems for a change. Inspired by the peace I found in reflection, I started a gratitude journal, documenting the things I was thankful for each day. The practice of gratitude brought a sense of positivity and perspective to my life. It helped me to focus on the good things and appreciate the progress I had made. The gratitude journal became a cherished daily ritual that enriched my life. Who knew that counting your blessings could actually make you feel blessed? With a sense of closure and peace, I embraced a new beginning. The future was filled with opportunities and challenges, but I felt ready to face them. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had also been transformative. I was stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The new beginning was a testament to the power of resilience and the possibility of finding happiness after hardship. It was like stepping into a new world with old scars that had finally started to heal. One evening, as I watched the sunset from my new home, I felt a profound sense of peace. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, a perfect backdrop for my moment of tranquility. The journey had been tumultuous, but it had led me to a place of contentment and fulfillment. The peaceful moment was a reminder that even after the darkest times, there could be light and hope. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the possibility of finding joy and meaning in life. As the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, I took a deep breath, savoring the stillness. The past was a part of me, but it no longer defined me. I had found my way through the storm and emerged stronger on the other side. The future was unwritten, but I was ready to face it, whatever it might bring. Because if there's one thing I had learned, it was that life, with all its messiness and unpredictability, was worth every single moment. And for the first time in a long while, I was truly at peace